Now, I'm a real rule follower. I love rules. You know, they say that love makes the world go round. I think that's probably true, but also I think rules make the rules go around. When I'm on a plane, I am an awesome passenger. I follow all the rules. When the pilot puts on the light for not getting out of your seat to have your seatbelt fastened, I sit in my seat. But one rule I always questioned was this. When the flight attendants would say, in case of loss of cabin pressure, when the air mask drops from the ceiling, be sure and put your own on before helping others. I thought, what a ridiculous rule. I always thought when I flew with my kids, if anything happened on the plane, I could see myself very calmly attaching all their masks before attaching mine. Until July of 2009, I had attended the National Speakers Association conference in Phoenix, Arizona, and I was flying back home, Phoenix, Minneapolis, Minneapolis, Sioux Falls. And I knew about 40 minutes before we were going to land in Minneapolis, I knew at about the half-hour mark, the pilot would put the light on not to get out of your seat and have your seatbelts fastened, which I always followed that rule. So I thought, I'm going to quick use the restroom before he puts that light on. So I got up and walked to the back of the plane and waited for about 2 people in line with me for the restroom. And I wasn't standing there 30 seconds and I got violently ill. I'm talking hot sweats, hot flashes, sick to my stomach, nausea, and I knew that I was going to faint at any second. So I looked behind me and there's an empty seat on the end of the row, about 3 rows back. So I went and I collapsed into that seat and put my head on my knees, and I was so ill. And really, there is nothing worse than being sick on an airplane because you feel so trapped. About a minute later, the gal came out of the restroom whose seat I was sitting in, and she took one look at me and ran and got 3 flight attendants. And they were asking me, ma'am, are you sick? Are you having a heart attack? And at that point, I wish I listened better to the American Heart Association's public service announcement where they gave the symptoms for a heart attack, because I didn't know if I was having one or not. But I wasn't coherent enough to talk anyway, so I couldn't tell them. And one left and came back and literally dropped an oxygen tank in my lap, slapped the mask on me and said, breathe, breathe. And they were able to stabilize me. They were able to stabilize me until they landed the plane in Minneapolis. You know, really what the airplane is teaching us is this simple lesson. Serve yourself first. Serve yourself first. And really that sounds so selfish, doesn't it? But if we are not eating well, if we are not sleeping well, if we are not exercising, how can we do all we need to do for others? I don't even think it's possible. And if we are not physically in shape, how can we be mentally in shape to grow our business and lead an extraordinary life? I don't know how it's possible. And so I want you to think to yourself right now, what is one thing I can do for myself in the next 3 days? Just for myself. Take your pen and write down one thing you can do for yourself in the next 3 days. Okay, this happens in every audience that I tell this to. I don't care if it's a small group or a large group like this, but only about 3 people ever write anything down. The rest are sitting there trying to think of something because we're not used to thinking of things to do for ourselves. So because of that, I put together a 31-day calendar of ideas for you to do for yourself. Things like forgive yourself, perhaps buy yourself flowers, have a nap in the middle of the day, okay? But write down one thing you're going to do for yourself. And then watch your life and business absolutely amaze you as you take better care of yourself. When you have the attitude of serving yourself first, you're better for everybody else in your life, professionally or personally.